Thank you so very much for joining. Most of you were there in the first training as well, and you are here today as well. It's great that you are here. A resolution project and Center for Awareness Training and Development is trying its best to give you the right tool, the right information, concepts, and knowledge, and then connect you to the relevant experts who give you in insights how you can come up with an idea. If you already have an idea, how you can build on that idea and how you can convert it into a venture. And if you're running a venture, how you can successfully run a venture. So the first session that we did was on ideation, how to come up with an idea, how you can develop a product and a service. Today, we have two amazing speakers who are entrepreneurs on their own. We will be discussing in detail how you can develop a business model and then how you can do market analysis and the customer analysis. Remember, when it comes to the business model, it is very, very important for us as a startup, as a venture, as a change maker, as a leader, when we are leading an idea that can create an impact, it is very important that we visualize how the whole idea looks like. So Mahnur Maroof is with us. I'll introduce her in a while. Will help us understand how you can bring your whole idea into a standard business model canvas where you can picture everything, anything that needs to be a part of it, that needs to be a part of your idea. And then I'll share an example of Center for Awareness Training and Development, the company that I lead, how we have developed a business model so that you have an example as well. And I'll share the documents as well so that based on that document, you can go, you can refer to it, and you can develop your own business model as well. Regarding the stakeholder analysis and the market analysis, we have Mavish, who will take us through how you can do the stakeholder analysis, how, why you need to understand who are the people who is related to idea, who can be either directly or indirectly get impacted from your idea, and how you can do market analysis, how you need to understand the market, the trends, the competitors, the people, how you can make your idea more, relevant to the market where your idea can create an impact as well and can be sustainable as well. So we will deep dive into these segments today. The first session that we will start with is regarding the business model canvas. So Manu will be pretty much on the top of the business model to share with us what it is, what are the key components of the business model, and how you can develop your business model as well. So Mahnur, thank you so very much for sharing, for being with us. Just to introduce Mahnur, I need to share, she has been doing amazing where we follow her work. She she's an entrepreneur, a startup who are running very successful startups. Two startups she is running. One is Maroof Wellbeing Foundation, which she looks after well-being of the people. She's working with different class of the society in order to help them in their well-beings. And also Maroof is, sorry, your name is a little challenging me now. Maroof is also running her own English language academy, which is really a great setup, to help promote languages and, reach out to people who is interested to learn languages as well. She is a great resource when it comes to interacting with startups, because she really loves to share her experience with you. So I won't take more of your time. I want Maroof to jump on that training. Maroof, can you share your screen with us?
Okay. Yes, I'm sharing it in a while. Just give me a second.
Let me know if you are not able to share. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I'm able to share.
Awesome.
All right. I hope it's visible now. Yeah.
Awesome. Yes, yes, it is.
Okay, so shall I start?
Yeah. Now, floor is yours.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Azizullah, for introducing me. And I'm very much excited because you already told me that the audiences are the people who are interested into business. And of course, the topic that has been assigned to me is about the business model canvas. So I'm a kind of person that enjoys interactive sessions. So my request to the participants is that please keep your hands on the mute button because I'll be asking you a lot of questions in between. Actually, the purpose of any training, as a trainer, I believe, is that it's not just a lecture because you can find a lot of lectures on YouTube. The main purpose is to enlighten the learners, those who are here, those who are giving us time, and they are here to learn. So, one of the things that I have, and I was very happy when I got the topic because this is the topic that nobody had introduced when I was starting my own setup. And as Mr. Azizullah mentioned, I'm running two setups right now. One is a language academy, and the other is a welfare. Both of them are completely opposite to each other, although the target area is the same because we are trying to provide services to the people. But initiating it at a very tender age was very difficult. And the main problem that I used to face was the state that, okay, I have an idea, and I know you guys are done with the ideation workshop. So you all must have some ideas. I believe all of you guys are loaded with ideas, and you guys do share your thoughts and experiences. And you're just sitting. What I like about ideas is that they pop up anytime. You would be sitting in a cafe drinking a cup of tea, and then suddenly you'll be like, I can do this thing. But the problem arises that how can I do this thing? And what would I do? And how is it possible? Now, traditionally, in my area, in my locality, what's the biggest misconception? If you want to start a business, you need to have a lot of investment. And if I tell you about my journey, I started with only what I can say, $30 to $50 in my hand. And that was all the way that everything just started working out. And we're having a very good setup. And we're having profit. We have 14 employees right now. We're paying a good salary to them, managing all this stuff. So initially, and even till date, people still come up with this thing that, you should invest more. You should spend a lot of money on your investments, and you should give more money, and you need to do increase your advertisements and do this and do that and do that. But if you settle down and you sit down and you have a plan in your head, it will really help you out. Now, just for you guys to understand, right now, I have three separate diaries to note down my plans. So basically, the business canvas model provides you with a plan. It's actually the planning that what you are going to do and how you can execute that. I believe all of us have some plans in their minds. Like I meet ladies and they're like, "Ma'am, we want to start a business for jewelry, or we really want to start teaching at our home, or we really want to do home bakery for somebody." And I'm like, "Okay, so what's the plan?" And they go blank. What do you mean by the plan? It's simple. I'm going to tell the people in my area that I'm making something and I'll distribute them. So that is not how things actually work. Um, what actually happens is that what I really like to say, and this is one of my favorite quotations that I am using constantly for myself, and the quotation goes like this: that right planning that takes you to the right decision, and right decision at the right time can lead you to the right progress. So you may come across a lot of people who you go like, they didn't have basic education, but they were able to have very good businesses. So why does that happen? It's because the planning stage. If you are able to plan out your ideas, to target your audience, to highlight what you actually want to do and what are the results of that, you can actually come up with an effective business approach. Oftentimes, I come across people who go like this, that we have invested 10 to $15, 15 lakhs, what we call in Pakistan currency, I would say $10,000 into this, and nothing came out. So the reason is that we actually don't plan up things. Now, when you're planning, and what is a business actually? A business is that you are trying to provide either items or services to the other person, right? So you got to know that what I am going to do, you need to see that, okay, for example, I'll give you a very simple, a short example, and I want you guys to listen to it very carefully because I'll be asking questions from him. There's a person who wants to sell educational books, and the book level is for college going students. So, would it be appropriate to sell these books in an area where people are completely uneducated? What do you guys think? Anybody who would just say something? Like if somebody has books that are of higher level and they're trying to sell it to a place where education is not there, would he or she be able to sell these books? Of course not, because people would be very alienated from the concept of books. Instead, they have to come up with a product that could actually trigger those minds that are not educated and bring them into the education. So, what do we actually do with children? We give them colorful classrooms, we give them colors and pens and drawings, and the playgroup teachers are playing the nursery rhymes and all that because their customer are the children. So they need to come up with the things that are attractive. If we go to the higher classes, if we go to the university classes, university classrooms, the rooms are very simple. There's a computer or there's that digital screen over there. The rooms are not too colored. The teacher is not singing songs. Even like if I'm teaching you guys right now, I'm not singing any kind of song. It's because you guys are mature students. So knowing your customer is very, very much important. Just like in teaching, we say that knowing your students is very much important, and the amount of money that you're going to spend. A lot of businesses actually fail because they don't have a plan. It actually refers to the company's plan for making profit. Now, if you have an idea in your mind and you actually don't have any budgeting system with yourself, or you don't have any target for yourself, like for example, if I want to spend money and I'm trying to get advertisement, and I'm just spending, I have 10,000 rupees in my hand, and I just spend it over there, and I still don't get my desired results, and I keep on spending and spending and spending. So what will happen? The business will start giving me loss. So in actual, a business canvas model, canvas is a plan, a page on which you're going to have plan, focuses on what you are going to do in the upcoming days. Planning is very much important because when you plan, you actually come up with the loopholes, you actually evaluate yourself. The major problem that I often see among my youngsters who are trying to start up, whether they are starting a small business or a big business, they don't evaluate things. They're like, okay, I have a degree in engineering, I can run an engineering construction company like this. But that's not the case because everything requires experience. And just like Mr. Azizullah started it, that even if you're having a business in running position and you're still running this, you still need some planning, because what happens is that this is something that I recently even experienced after 4 years into my system. Gradually, when we started growing, like initially we were having only 20 students, now we started to have 70, 80 students. So I needed to increase my staff. Now, when I increased the number of staff, there were a number of problems that started to increase as well. For example, some of the staff members were coming from far areas. I need to arrange, convince for them, a vehicle for them. I need to have a security guard. I need to have a budget for the tea and the biscuits and all of that stuff because I give refreshments to them. I needed to see that initially my classroom, there were only two classrooms that were being used, but now I have to turn on the lights of other classrooms as well because the strength has doubled. When I used to have 20 students, we didn't need a cafe because the students, they would just come for 1 hour. But now the students are staying for 5 to 6 hours. So I need to have a cafe for them. So business canvas model actually helps you out to focus on your things. It is actually a clear and concise picture of everything that goes here. The one thing about ideas that I always try to pin down, or which I find it difficult, is that the difficult part of the idea is to convey it to the other person. It's like you have something in your head and you're trying to show it to the other person. Just like a movie director does. They have a story in their head and they take out the actors and they put in the song and they present a scene to you. So that is what the business canvas model is going to do for you. It's going to take out this thing and it's going to give a clear sketch of how and what you need to do and you're going to do in order to get the most of the profit. So in front of your screen, you can see there are 5 key benefits. Okay. The first one is it is focused. It's clear and concise. Clear and concise means that you and your team can easily understand it. They can have a clear idea. Okay, we need to do this, we need to do that. So, and accordingly, you can move. It targets your customer need. Now, this is the number third point. I'm going to focus this a lot because I have met people, and I'll share a small, teeny tiny story about a person who was trying to introduce an international course in my particular region. So, where they were already delivering this course, it is the capital of my country. So, there the people can afford minimum courses for around about $650, and $750 is nothing for the people there. But when they try to introduce the same course in my region, so my region here people are much more inclined towards the restaurant, the hospitality. They like to eat foods, they like to go to the shopping centers, but they're not too much inclined towards trainings and all of that. So even though they invested a huge amount, like around about $20,000, their project was not a success. In fact, they suffered loss. So when we had the annual meeting, I told them that the error was there that you didn't target your customers. You were not able to identify your customers' range. Therefore, you ended up having a bit of loss in that. Not a bit of, that was a huge loss. Now, the fourth point is reduces the risk of failure. This point is also very, very important because a lot of people, when they sit down with me and they go like this, ma'am, risk is a part of the business, and they flex over this thing that risk, oh, risk, if you're not going to take risk, you're not going to function well in life, you're not going to progress. This is one of the most, what I can say, a negative statement that I hear. Because if you're not calculating your risk, you're going to fail very, very badly and you're going to suffer. For example, um, take the example of electricity. I know that electricity does have the risk if you're using it, but you minimize that risk. You try to have protectants. You make sure that you don't get the electricity short, even though you have it in your house. So minimizing your risk is very, very important. Risk and taking an opportunity and taking a step are two different things. So you need to evaluate the number of problems or the number of losses that you're going to suffer. Just because you have a huge financial background, it doesn't mean you should spend money like water. Even your single penny holds a significant place in the structure of the business model. So you got to be very, very careful about how you plan and how you invest your plan and all that. So the number fifth one is a scientific framework. So it's going to provide you a framework and a plan. So moving towards and what's an ideal business model? So it's actually the key aspects. It's actually giving you a planner. It's actually kind of giving you an idea that how you're going to target your customers, what are services you need to provide, and how it's going to operate, like what number of people you need, what other equipments you need, and how you can do that. And the last thing and the most important thing, and one of the purpose for which you are doing the hard work, is how your business is going to make money. This is one of the things that people usually forget when they plan out the things. Because if you, even when people are taking up a single stall on a fun fair at a school or a college, I always tell them to calculate all of these things. How many people you need to stand on the stall, what kind of decoration you need, what item you're going to sell, what type of audiences are coming, how are you going to sell this. So what often happens is that people, they do invest, they do target the audience, but they fail to calculate their profit. For example, you start um, having want to drive a taxi, and you get a very lavish car and you start driving it, and you need to, when you're driving a taxi, obviously you can't charge extra amount. You have to check out the customers. and you charge very minimum, but your car is consuming a large amount of fuel comparatively to that. So you won't be able to earn. And your end goal is always your profit. Because at the end of the day, why we do a business or why we do a job is because we need to make money at the end of the day. Now, in front of your screen, you have this canvas model. This is one of my most favorite pictures and diagrams that I really like to teach, and I really enjoy this. And even I make it for my welfare activities as well as for my institution. And whenever we are having any kind of event, this is also very valid for that, because sometimes when we're targeting events, so we need to have the amount of money we're going to invest, the people who are going to come, and what I really like to mention over here, that this model is not only valid for business, it will also help you out in your journal life. For example, inviting people on your wedding, planning a birthday party, planning a tour, or doing anything you like. You would need this planner at multiple places. You can obviously modify it according to your situations, but it will actually help you out to understand. Now, although the diagram may seem like we should start from the key partner, but if you focus on this image over here, the center, it begins from the center, value proposition. Now, can anybody tell me what does this word would mean? Any guesses? Come on, just give me rough guesses. You can drop it in the chat box as well. I can read it from there as well if you feel shy in talking. So can anybody let me know that what do they understand by this word of value proposition? Any idea? Any wild guesses? Hmm? It's okay if you could make mistakes. We're over here to learn. You can just go for it the way it's suitable. Just say anything out. Hmm?
This is Chavez. I um, give it a
Hello.
guess.
Yes.
I would say that value proposition basically talks about the um, the importance, or let me say, what do you actually seek to provide to your customers? The benefits, basically, that's the word I was looking for. The benefits you want your customers to get, basically.
Yeah. So one of the messages over here is to value to attach to your products. The value proposition is at the end of the day that what are you building? What is your vision and how you want to, like, what is your goal? Like, for example, if I started my institution, so my plan was actually to introduce a new way of teaching language that was previously not done over here. We were more following the translational method of teaching language, while I wanted to come up with a plan that, okay, I want to introduce the communicative teaching methodology. So I came up with that idea. Then I had the welfare. We had that what should I do that should be my end motive, that why am I starting a welfare? So my target was to remove the idea of donations and introducing the idea of making people entrepreneurs and giving them earning setups instead of relying them on the donations. So we all have some set goals. So value proposition actually, it's more of a fancy word. It's actually what you are trying to do and for whom you're trying to do. So that is the very first core thing. For example, if you say, I want to have a lemonade stall, or I want to open a shop of lemonade. So why and what kind of lemonade are you going to sell, and to whom you're going to sell? So this is your target. You come out with that idea, is that okay, this is what I am going to do and this is what should be there. The second thing that you need to keep in mind is that there are two different types of things that you target. One is the problem and the other is need. For instance, we were having a chit chat over educational business. So we were talking about the economical crisis going on, and I told a person that it would have been better if instead of the educational business, we were more into item-based business like clothings or cutlery or anything like that, because education is a luxury instead of the food items or the dress or those things. They are the needs. So you need to understand that what type of thing you're going to do. Are you going to bring services, or are you going to sell the product? And what is your end plan for that? The next thing that you move towards while planning. So you fill in this box out that, for example, I want to start a clothing brand. So my plan is to introduce clothes, and the people that I'm going to target are the teenagers, are the people from higher class, are the people from the lower class. What are like what side I'm going to target. Then the next and the most important thing, and then that's the thing that I've been advocating from the very start, are your customers. Business runs on customer. If you are not targeting your customers, if you're not understanding your customers, you will fail, because you are selling your product to somebody out there, and you are actually providing your services or your item to the other person. And if you're not targeting that person, you're going to fail very badly, because nobody's going to come, nobody's going to be there to buy your idea or whatsoever you have. So how do we analyze a customer? And that's one of the interesting parts. And I'm going to keep it very quick and short. You need to keep this thing in mind that you have to see the demographics, the people, the culture in which they are, the locality they belong to, their social backgrounds as well. For instance, if I am in a Muslim country and I start selling out dresses that are too revealing or they are too vulgar, so my there would be some few very minimum customers over there, but not too many people, because they're going to be like, instead, if I start selling headscarves and all of these stuff, so I'm going to have a lot of more customers than that. So you need to keep this thing in mind, that we have to see the demographics, we have to see the social backgrounds, and the personal interest as well. Um, I recently had an interaction with a shopkeeper, and it's a very small market in my local area, and he started ranting. People are not buying my dresses, even though I brought the latest designs. So I told him that the customer in your area are professional ladies who are coming to your shop, and the dresses that you are selling are for school going kids. Like the designs are for the school going kids, and the prices are too high. So the ladies, they are not purchasing your dress because you are not targeting your customers. You're not targeting their approach. You're not being able to address the thing that they need. So you need to reconsider your items, and you need to change them and bring them on in a different way. The next thing that we have is the channel. Now, channel is one of the most important thing, and this is one of the thing that often people make a mistake. Channel is like how you are going to sell this product, like through which channel, through which medium. Is it on site, or are you going to use the website? The word site, 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 is used for the location. So web means, are you going to sell it on the internet, or are you providing a physical spot? Are you providing a physical shop for that? Are you opening up an office for that? Or you're going to use Facebook for that? Or you're going to use WhatsApp? What I really like about today's world is that WhatsApp is one of the best places to communicate, to sell your products, to grow yourself as well. You have Facebook. So now the channel is an important thing, because here you decide that which locality I am going to sell my product, or what I'm going to do there. For example, I'll again quote my example because it's more easier for me to connect, that if I am providing educational services and I open my institution in a place where there are no houses, there are no people, it will never work, because people will not come there, because it's a barren area. There are no people. Instead, for me to run my business, I need to move towards an area where there are housing schemes, where there are people living, where there are apartments. So This is how you actually decide your channel, and like where and how I'm going, like where I'm going to sell this product and through which mode I'm going to sell this. The next thing you can see over the channel is the customer relationship. Now, I don't know about you guys, but over here, we have some fancy schools, international schools, and they are too much inclined towards maintaining their customer relationships. And even this is what I say to my students and my teaching staff, that, we are not here to earn. We are not here to get done with the course only. We are over here to build up a relationship, a family, a system. We want to have a bond. So this is an important part. Having a relationship with your customers based on trust is one of the things that can actually help you to grow your business. Right? If you are if you are caring, if you are providing your customers what demands they are putting up, you're able to address their needs, you will definitely grow. One of the things, I'll put it over here from my own experience, is the way you talk to the people. It's the way you deal with the people when they first come to your office. If they come and you're like, oh no, I'm not going to give you any discount. Oh no, I'm sorry, it's not possible. They will never listen to you. They will never come back again. Instead, you tell them, okay, I understand. I don't have this thing right now, but I would likely to introduce this thing. So listening to the feedback is important. And this is something I tell the teachers as well and the trainers, that it's okay when people tell you that something is wrong in your teaching pattern or there is some gap, because you will listen to the feedback and only then you can improve. So taking feedback is important. Remember, there are two types of criticism. One is constructive and the other one is destructive. You need to listen to both and pick up the constructive points and grow further. Maintaining your customer relationship can be done through WhatsApp, through Facebook. And I really, really want to add this thing. And this is one of the pro tips that my trainer actually gave me. He told me that, Miss Maruk, wherever you go, wherever you work, wherever you meet, try to remember people's name. And even though I am very bad at that, I am trying to improve. Because when you meet somebody and you go like this, oh, okay, this is your name. You're Abdurrahman, you're Azizullah, you're Danish. So you are able to connect. You actually convey this thing to your customer that you remember them from here. So this is a very important part about of your business. Moving towards your next step, that is the revenue streams, the revenue that you're going to generate. Like, you're going to analyze, okay, if I am spending my 1 hour, for example, I'm giving training over here, what kind of benefits are going to come, how they're going to come. So you can see on my screen there's a very interesting bar chart. And I being from not too much into these diagrams, I never used to understand them, that how come big business companies have these diagrams. But these actually give you the plan, the notion. It tells you where you are wrong and where you are right. So you need to keep on evaluating. Now you can see over here, promotion 10%, profit 20%, product 20%, and the sales are 60%. So you understand from here that how and what I am going to do to increase my profit. A simple example. Back in 2019, it was the very start of my institution, and nobody was coming because it was a new institution. I didn't have enough amount of money to advertise. And we were sitting down and we were thinking, what can be done to attract people? So one of us came up with the idea of having a free course. Free course. Now, if I talk about free course, I sat down and I planned it out, and I realized that even if I teach 40 students free of cost, I'm going to use electricity, I'm going to have a teacher, and I'm going to have some printouts as well. So that was going to be an expenditure on my head. And how am I going to manage that expenditure? Because at that point, I had no money in my hand. So what we did, we introduced the free course, and we introduced a small 60 pages workbook with that. And we mentioned that in this course, you're going to buy this workbook as well. We're not going to charge you anything for the course, but you need to buy this workbook with it. So the workbook that when we were printing would cost us like $1, and we were selling it for $5. So people coming were coming to our institution, seeing that the course was free. They were enrolling for free. They were learning for free, but they were happy to pay the $5, out of which the $4 was our profit. So that was how we were able to generate profit out of something that was completely free. So we were able to have a revenue in our hand. We were able to generate something out of it. That was only possible because we had a plan in our head. So you have to keep these things in mind, that you have to look at the customer's affordability. You have to see that if you, for example, you come up with a product and that costs you, you come up with a ring and you start a jewelry business and you start selling it into an area where people are poor, they won't be able to afford it. It would be like telling the people that, I'm a very fancy thing and you are not, you can't afford me. So that's not how things are going to work. This is something that I always tell people in their personal relationships as well, that if you are there looking up for somebody, you got to see that is that kind of ideal present in the society as well or not. Now, to keep the things short, because I'm running out of time, I'll come up to the key resources. You have to see the key resources. Now I'm moving towards the other side of the Canvas model. You have to see that the finances you're going to invest, what kind of items do you need, what kind of minds you need, what kind of staff you need. Now what I always tell to the starters is that please don't hire people suddenly, just don't rush towards the process. When I started my setup, I was my cleaner of the institution. I was the phone operator. I was the one who used to do the admissions. I was the one who was doing the advertisement. I was the designer, and I was a teacher as well. There would be people, I would call them. I'd be like, hey, I am Miss Amna speaking. I got your number. Are you looking for an English course? Please come visit my institution. And when people would come to my institution and they would be like, we talked with Miss Amna, is she here? I would go like, oh yes, she's over here, but today she's absent. She wasn't feeling well. So initially, please don't hire too many staff members because that will give you loss. Instead, try to manage things on your own initially, or have one or two people, and then you can move towards having more and more staff members as your business grows. So keeping these key resources are is very important. There's another thing that people do is that they start buying a lot of resources. For example, if they are starting an office and they have only like two members, they would buy 6 to 7 seats and they would have tables and arrangements and all that, and then there won't be too many customers over there. So what you have to do is that start with the low investment and move towards the bigger one. Don't invest huge and then it becomes impossible for you to manage. So you have to have a list of the items that you need. For example, I'll just for your understanding, my handwriting is not that good. It wouldn't be going like this. So we were just planning out something. So we need all the things that we need. We need the carpets, we need the balloons, we need the party poppers. We were making the list for the events. So the key resources that we need, and then there were secondary resources. For example, there was a musician that we were calling, so we kept it at the side. It wasn't the plan, but we kept it in the side. Why? Because if we have the budget and we have the amount, so then we are going to call that in. So you must plan out the things that you need. Don't just mindlessly start buying things at one time, or just you then. And sometimes it even happens that you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I need that thing. Oh, I need that thing. So planning would help you out. The eighth step that is there for you are the key activities, like the activities that you're going to do to attract your customers. uh, the way you are going to come up with different deals. For example, if you're running a salon, a parlor, a makeup studio, so you need to come up with the ideas that how you can attract the people, because there are so many other people doing the same job. So how you can do something different, how is your idea different from the others? So or what can you do to attract people? So what we usually do is, as I mentioned, that the key activity was to have a course. You can introduce some Fridays, or you can book some Tuesdays, that okay, on Tuesday we are going to have a tea party over here. It's going to be a high tea. We can okay, we can have some competitions, we can have some games, we can have a fun fair or anything like that. So key activities should be the different ways or the different targets that you set in order to gain your customers and you try to make a name in the market. The last and the most important thing is the cost analysis. And if you look at at the canvas model, the two things, cost structure, cost analysis, and the revenue streams are side by side. This is because these are the two most important things that you have to consider in order to make your business successful. So, and before I conclude this whole canvas model, I'm going to share a single advice with you guys. That is, whenever you start any business, please contact with the people who have already done the business and got success, and the people who tried doing it but were unable to achieve the success. This way, you will have a great analysis of the do's and the don'ts. So this will really help you out. And this the whole idea of the business model would actually help you to have an idea of how you can actually make things work and how your things can actually turn out. What I tell people is that why always think about the failures? Why not about the success? So Mr. Azizullah will share an example over here, and then we will move towards the concluding part of it.
Maruf, thank you so very much for sharing a very detailed insight. I'm really inspired at the way you connected everything to what you have actually built. This is really helpful for us. Um, Let me share my screen quickly. Whatever Maruf discussed with you, I hope you can see my screen. Is it visible? Can I have the thumbs up?
Yes.
Awesome, great. Now, you will have this after this session. I'll share a link where you will have access to today's content, today's webinar material, and the previous webinar material. So this is one of the sample that I have developed so that you have in actual, weave how the business model canvas look like. So as Maruf explained in detail, for example, as a Center for Awareness, Training and Development, we're happy to share. It's a very confidential document, but we share it with our resolution fellows because we want them to learn from this model. So this is actually our own business model that we have developed and we are sharing with you. So here you can see all the key partners, educational institutions, corporate companies, youth, startups, micro, small, medium enterprises, key activities, management consulting, training and skill development, since we're at training and skill development consultancy. Key resources, we have 7 full-time staff members, 12 contractual. We have a proper office facility set up in Peshawar. Financial resources, we have enough financial resources to run our operations smoothly, coming from our business activities, our key activities, our value proposition. Maruf said it rightly, that how your product, your service add value to the people who will be using your product. So this is, we implement things in a local context. We implement things keeping 360 angle in mind, whether it's budgeting, it's time, it's efficiency, it's effectiveness, adaptability and flexibility. Whatever the client tell us, whatever is their budget, we try be adaptive to their needs. And this is one of the way we have been very successful for the past 12 years. Customer relationship, trust is one thing which we really believe. We deal clients and customer in a very professional way. So a very professional way we are interacting with our clients. You can read all, I won't go through everything, but I'll be just mentioning one or two with you so that you have an idea. Now, this is the interesting part, customer segment. You really need to write down, specify who is your target customer. Even if you are for profit, even if you're non for profit, you should know who are the people you are targeting. For example, our target is youth, both men and women. We are also targeting students, schools, colleges, universities. We are also targeting professionals in the lower management to the top management. Startups is on our core customer segment. So you can read the rest. Regarding the resources, I already mentioned channels. This is interesting. We have a strong personal network since a team has a strong network in the industry. So we use our personal network to scale up our business, to reach out to the clients, to the customers. Social media presence, we like in LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp. We have references and recommendation. A lot of people who attended our training programs, now they are managers, there are, they have graduated and they are in a different company, so they inviting us. And of course cold calling. So this is the channels through which we reach out to the potential or target customer. This is the cost structure. We have HR costs, which include salaries, bonuses, legal compliances like filing, annual filing. We do the orders, rent, utilities, kitchen expenses, travel and logistic expenses, trainer and consultation fee, travel and their accommodation if there is a project going on, even management expenses, logistic, everything is included here. Coordination and communication costs for the projects, for the staff, promotion and digital media marketing. So these are our cost structure. So keeping this business model in mind, you can define the cost structure for your enterprise as well. Now, revenue is interesting. This revenue part is almost linked to the key activities because any activity you do, through those activities you generate revenues. For example, we do consulting services through which we generate revenue. We do training workshops. We go and pitch for grants, funds, and sponsorships. We get sponsorships. So some of our projects have been sponsored by the government, by the private sector. So this is how we try generate revenue. We provide mentorship, coaching, and certification program. We design training programs and we deliver training programs for different, companies, and whether non-for-profit or for-profit, whether it's public or it's private. So this is the business model because Maruf explained it in a very detail. I just wanted to give you a visualized structure, how actually it is made. I'll share these things with you, these materials with you, so that you are able to have it with you. You can cross compare, and then you can develop your own business model as well. So I know we are ahead of the time, but let's have 5 minutes before we start with Mavis session with the stakeholder. We have 5 minutes. Later we will also have time for the question and answer session, but we have Maruf here for 5 minutes. So if you want to, if you have any question, you can ask, and she will be happy to answer. So do you have any question? And please don't forget, you will also be receiving these recordings, all the material plus these recordings, so that you can refer to it and learn again from it where you need. Yes, Soleh,
Yeah,
you can go ahead, Isa.
Sorry, I was actually expecting the recordings for last week as well in my mail. I couldn't find it. Is there a kind of page where we could actually go back and pick it up?
Can you please repeat?
Well, it's Isa Mohammed. It's nice to be here again today, and really,
Thank
I
you,
really
Isa.
appreciate you. And I just wanted to ask about the recordings for last week and this week. I didn't actually receive that of last week on my mail.
Yeah.
And I don't know why is that. Is there a page? Have you got a page where some of these links might be found?
So no worries about that. We have your email, so all the material and these things will be shared with you through the email, right? So we will share it with you soon. Recording, I'm not sure when we can, but the resolution project will share the recording for us. I'll share the content with you later on in the link. So I'll provide you the link. You click on it, you can go to the folder and download all the materials. But for the recordings, you will receive it soon. Yeah, Isa, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I said that would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Of course, I'll do that. I'll do that by the end of the session. Not an issue, right? All right, let's see if we have any question in the chat. All right, yes, any question you have before we jumped into Ambrose, thank you. Thank you for saying thank you. Any question again? Maruf is here. If you have any question later, I'll be here. You can ask me question. I would appreciate if Maruf can stay up to that. If not, that's really fine. But if you have any question, you can ask. Otherwise, then we will move to the next session. Anything you found most interesting in the business model Canvas, so you can even share that with us as well.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
There is a
Really,
yeah.
I really appreciate the lecture. The part I find very informative is, getting to know your customers. And if you look at the four aspects of the canvas, I find that many businesses find it difficult to actually discover the particular value that they offer to their customers. But with the explanation given here about the business model, I think that was really very satisfactory. Then, if you look at the other issues concerning, customer relationships, I think there's a statement that the customer is always right, and of course, know your customers, KYC. It's very important in business, and I think that's going to be very good for us. I've learned from even the slides provided here, the July 2021, where that business CATO, talked about how passionate they are about, communicating with their customers, and this will really help because it would actually boost the customer relationship base of our business, and I really appreciate that.
Awesome. Isa, thank you so very much for your feedback. We have a question from James. James, how can someone identify the ideal place to locate a venture? I'll comment and then Maroon can have a comment on it as well. So it's tricky when it comes to identifying a place for your venture. You really need to understand what is your venture about. Is it like a food? Is it related food? Is it related, let's suppose, manufacturing? Is it related to, let's suppose, health? Is it related to services? And then who are your target customers? So the best, you know, the best advice that I can give you is how you can find a place is let it be more accessible to the people. So if you are making an office setup, you are selecting a place, the first thing you need to find out is it needs to be accessible to the people, right? That's the first thing. But again, there are multiple contexts to it. For example, if you are opening a shop where customer will be coming, so it's good to keep that in the center and on the front so that customer can quickly come to you. For example, if you want to open an ice cream shop and you open it on the third or fourth floor, even if it is the main part of the market, it wouldn't go that well because it's on the top. It should be in the first floor. So just to sum it up, you really need to know that it is accessible to the people you are targeting. If it is a service, again, you need to have all the accessibility requirements there. If it is a product-based idea, you need to see all the transport, all the labors, all the materials there. But again, it depends on multiple contexts. But the only advice from my side, from my personal experiences, is your place accessible, whether it's from machine side, human side, or it's from people reaching out to you or not. If it is accessible to the people who is your target, it means your location is a better location. Maruf, you want to comment?
Yeah. Now, this question is very interesting for me because I've analyzed two businesses in my career so far. Mr. Azizullah would be able to understand the place that I'm mentioning because obviously we belong to the same area. I spent like I was studying in the city of Pakistan known as Lahore, and there is a very famous road by the name of Zarar Shahid Road. So there were two restaurants that are open adjacent to each other. one restaurant was gaining so many customers that even brides were coming after their whole event, even in their bridal attires, and they were buying food from there. While on the other hand, the building right next to it was having zero customers, like zero customers, even though the location was same. So when I started analyzing the two businesses, that even though the location is ideal, then what's the problem with the two setups? So the problem was that one setup was actually targeting the customers over there. It was pocket friendly restaurant, while the other one was not designed that the people that the customers that are walking over there were able to join in, and they could feel it comfortable to be there. And again, it was not in accordance to their pocket. Now, the question about location is about another business that I noticed was a person who was selling fast food. And he started his setup in a village location, a village kind of locality where people don't like fast foods. They're more into the desi products that are more of our traditions. So what happened is that even though they were providing delivery service, they were not able to achieve the success. This is the same thing that a lady was telling me to, that she wanted to start a parlor setup of a salon, a beauty salon, and I'm still of the opinion that it won't work there because the customers over there are not interested in getting those services. So first of all, you need to see your customers that where you're targeting. For example, if I want to start a college or something like that, I mentioned this thing that you need to target the locality. But again, it actually depends on the kind of environment you're going to give again. Now, there are two types of cases. One, people are like, okay, I need to have a setup and I need to earn within months. And there are other kind of people who are more into this thing that, okay, I'll start the setup and it may it grow slowly and gradually because they are having a big setup. So if you are coming up with a bigger vision, if you're coming up with something that is going to target a place that is going to produce revenues for the next 20 years, then you got to keep that thing in mind, that which area you're targeting. Because in case this is something that happened to the people of old generation, that they
Yeah.
sometimes started their businesses in the place that they thought was right, but with the modernization, with the technological development, those areas become outdated. Or I would say the people that were living there, they started to move out because they needed a better place. So when you're deciding your location, you need to consider the future plans as well. Because when you take up a place, you're planning for the next 3 years. It's just like when somebody is building a house, I tell them, you're not building this house for yourself. You are building this house for the next 20 years because you're going to live in that house for the next 20 years. So you got to design it. If, for example, if your children are small and you come up with 2 rooms house, eventually your children are going to grow up and you'll be needing room for 4 to 5 people. So you need to keep this thing in mind, that when you're taking up a location, you're planning for the next 3 to 5 years.
Absolutely. Baruch, thank you so very much for your time. We will have question answer session after the another session since we are short of time. So Maruf, thank you again for sharing your experience, your expertise with us on the behalf of the Resolution Project, on the behalf of Center for Awareness Training and Development. Thank you for your time. It was pleasure having you and hearing you in this session. Thank you so very much. And moving to our next session, which is pretty much linked to the business model canvas, and it plays huge role when designing the business model canvas, is the stakeholder analysis, which again the people who will be engaged in your business. So and also it depends on your market analysis, that where you are starting, how you need to start, who are the competitors in the market. So we have Mavesh with us. Mavish, thank you so very much for joining us today. Just to give you a little bit background about Mavish, Mavish has been running Rana Child Welfare Foundation. She is the CEO and founder of the foundation. It is a social welfare foundation. It works to empower, to educate street children regarding the informal education. At the same time, it also empowers women socially, economically, digitally, so that they are well empowered when it comes to social setup, and when it comes to economical setup. So Mavish will be taking us through how she how these two tools helped her in starting and in evaluating and in transforming her foundation, her enterprise, and how these tools can help you transform and be well prepared for launching your idea or for sustaining or scaling up your idea. So Mavish, I'm sharing my screen and now the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Aziz. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible.
Hi, Assalamu alaikum, everybody. This is Mavish. Aziz has already given me a very nice introduction. We're going to talk about stakeholder and market analysis. But obviously, and I'm going to share my experiences and how I did these things. So it will be more of, I generally like my talk or my presentation to be more of storytelling. So stakeholder analysis and market analysis, we'll start with stakeholder analysis. Anybody or any organization or any organization plus any entity that has anything to do with you or is impacted by you or you have an impact on them, that's a stakeholder. So analyzing them is stakeholder analysis. Deloitte's research has summarized business ecosystem as dynamic and co-evolving communities of diverse actors who create and capture new value through increasingly sophisticated models of both collaboration and competition. For me, the key word over here would be always dynamic. So, and when you are co-evolving in communities like these, you have to keep in mind that change is always happening around you. So, right now, whoever is in my audience, if you guys have your own startup, you started or initially in you're in the initial stages of your startup or you are about to start up your business idea or you're thinking about it, you guys need to keep in mind that you have to understand the dynamic environment, and the dynamic environment has many stakeholders and you have to take care of all of them depending on how important they are. We're going to talk about it later on. So can we move to the next slide?
Yes, please.
Yes. So basically, if we first of all talk about stakeholders, we have some internal and some external stakeholders, and it's very obvious from the slide. Then the internal stakeholders are your employees, managers, your owners, people who are inside the organization. And they are as important as your external stakeholders because employees, if they're unhappy, how will you be able to go ahead with your functions? If your manager is not functioning good, and it actually happened with me when I started my foundation 7 years ago. I had my own student appointed as the manager, and he was there for 7 years. And just recently, 3 months ago, he left. And I realized, there were so many things on which I was dependent on him. So, your manager is a very important stakeholder because I was sort of the owner or the founder. I am the founder of my foundation. And then there are external stakeholders like suppliers, society, government, creditors, shareholders, customers, and so many more. So you have to keep in mind for your startup, for your business, who are your stakeholders, whether they're and how important they are, what is their impact on your business, how powerful they are or how less powerful they are. So all these elements you have to keep in mind, and accordingly, then you guys have to keep track of those stakeholders. The next slide would explain the external stakeholders in detail. So if we can move to the next slide. So if you look at this, so external stakeholders, as you know, there are certain very specific stakeholders who are directly impacting your organization, but they're in the external environment. So for example, the public pressure groups, your suppliers, your direct customers, your direct competitors, they are your specific environment, but external. While in the stakeholders who are not impacting you directly but has an impact, they are called the general environment. For example, the economy of a country or the global technological development or the socio-cultural developments. So there is an abbreviation, there is an analytical tool which is called pestel analysis, PESTEL. So pestle analysis is political, economical, social, technological, did I say environmental, economical, and then there is legal. So these aspects, they basically are generally there in the country, overall there in the globe, but they have an impact on your business. So you have to keep track of those things. But the more direct stakeholders in the external environment are your specific stakeholders, which are very specific to your business, to your idea. For example, if there's a restaurant, you guys, if somebody has an idea of opening up a restaurant, so other restaurants, other competitors, other people who are opening up such restaurants in the same locality would be your direct competitors. So you have to keep in mind, because they will have a direct impact on you. If they increase their price, you have to keep in mind about the prices of your product. If they're marketing in a certain way, you have to market accordingly. So these specific stakeholders in the external environment are very, very critical and very important. Although I don't run a business enterprise, it's a social enterprise. But obviously, in my case, there are similar organizations working in the environment where I function. So I have to keep track of what they are doing, because in my case it's rather than competition, it's more about cooperation, because we have to work together to solve a problem of having street children, out of school children. But in case of business enterprise, you have to keep in mind that if there is a competitor in the near location, you have to keep track of their strategy, and then accordingly you have to manage that. So I hope the concept of stakeholder is clear, because they impact you or you are impacted by them in some way or another. Okay, so next slide. Yeah. Now, stakeholder analysis is, I would say, market analysis is one part of stakeholder analysis. Or if you're doing a market analysis, you are actually in a way doing your stakeholder analysis also. So you have to do your market analysis. You can do it before your startup, but I would also suggest you keep on doing it, whether you are in the start of your startup, or you have been in the middle phase of your startup, because this is something which should always be done. Because again, going back to the first slide, the environment is dynamic, and when the environment is dynamic, it is changing. You have to keep track of all the changes happening. For that, you have to do market analysis. So in market analysis, you keep in mind what is happening in the market. What are your competitors doing? What are the market trends? What This is how you reduce your risk, obviously. And then what are your revenues, and how are these revenues affected by other people? What are your customers? I'll just give you an example. How I did my market analysis, which was actually not done in a very formal way, but it was unconsciously done, and that is where we get our ideas also. I my profession was and still is academia. I teach in universities, but I used to go when I used to go in my car, and I had my 7-year-old daughter with me. I used to look at these kids on the streets who are generally in the age bracket of 7 to 10, and I used to look at them that they don't have a school, and they are not going to any education center. They don't have basic food or health facility. And that was my unconscious market analysis, that there is a gap in the market, that these kids, they need a school, they need a secure place where they can have a good childhood, good memories of their childhood. So whatever is happening around you is basically giving you ideas on what you can do. So if you have not yet decided on what startup you want to go ahead with, the observation skills can help you look around where that gap is, and you can actually analyze the market, and then that can give you an idea where to actually come up with what to come up with. Yes, next slide. So market analysis, what do you find out after you do your market analysis? You get to know about your market size, how many, market can be actually interchangeably used with the word customers. So where market size is the size of your customers, number of customers in the market. And then what is the chance of your product growing in that market? For example, if nowadays it's all about technology. So if you have a software agency, you're coming up with new products, software company. So if you're coming up with new products, there's AI going on, things like that. So that there is high chance of growth in that industry. So what is that growth rate in the product or in the industry you are interested in? For example, I live in Pakistan and I live in this north city of Pakistan in Peshawar. So there are a lot of street children. We have Afghani children on the street. So that not a very pleasant pleasant thing to say, but they're always there, and there are so many out of school kids on the streets that there is high chance that my organization will grow. Although I would want my organization not to be there at all and all the kids to be in schools, but that is not the reality. So you need to see what is the growth rate of your product in the market where it is functioning. Then what is happening in the market? What are the market trends? Then what is customer segmentation? Okay, this is something which you need to know exactly what customer segmentation is. Whatever your product or your idea or your service is, you have to segment your customer base based on gender. It can be based on age, can be based on their income, so many areas. And then you should target one or two more specifically, so that makes your marketing technique better. For example, in case of Pepsi or Coca-Cola or these drinks, generally you see youth, very playful youth in their ads. So this is how they actually market their product. Although we all consume sodas, kids in Pakistan, it's very, very common. Kids have it, and then we have elderly people having drinks as well. But in their ads, you will only see youth and playful youth and very fun-loving youth consuming it. So your customer segment, that's how you market your product. That's also very important to identify the segment whom you're going to target. I'll just give you an example of my own foundation. Initially when I started it, poor people used to come, and then people who were generally used to say, this kid is an orphan, so take them. In our religion, it is sort of encouraged to take care of orphans, specifically orphans. But I used to tell them that my specific target audience is street children. So there are poor people, but among poor people, then you have orphans, and then you have street children, and then you have out of school kids. But I cater for specifically street children. So basically, it's very important that you target, and that has helped me actually stand out, because generally there are so many schools working for underprivileged people. But when you identify that specific segment, that is something which gives you that edge, on basis of which you can then market yourself more, I would say, uniquely. It gives you uniqueness. And then assessing competition, I very proudly, whenever I go to and I meet donors or I meet people, I very proudly say that at least in KP, in my province, there is no other organization who's working like me. Because when you stand out, and or you go for something which nobody else is going for, that is where you sell your idea. That is where you tell people, I am the only one who's doing this. Nobody else is doing anything like that. But obviously, for that, you have to have research, you have to have data, you have to do your homework before you can say it. Once you have done your homework, trust me, when you pitch your idea like that, that I'm the only one who's going to give you this product or this service, people are going to take it. But it should be based on statistics, or without research it won't be of any use. So business environmental factors, there's so many things. So when you do this can be done in the beginning of launching your idea. Once you launch it, it should also be done again and again. It should be done, because market is always changing. Next slide, please. Okay, so I was just mentioning about the survey. Market analysis should be based on survey. I'll again give you example. Recently we were applying somewhere, and unfortunate, but data on street children was not available. So I was thinking about how to apply, because if I want to pitch my idea about the foundation that I'm running, how can I apply? So my someone I know, a friend of mine, he told me that you need to come up with data. I told him, I don't have the data. We don't have data. The government has not done any data, collected data on street children. So he told me collect data on all the other, from all the other sources, like, child labor, and then how many kids are there in private schools, how many kids are there in public schools. Gather them and then find out the data which is available on the total population. So if there is total population, then there is data available on the kids in different segments, and then whatever is the gap, it means that is the number of kids who have nothing to do, nobody's taking care of them, and that is your target market. So statistically you can come up um, with your data. You can get these statistics or census or things like that. So survey can be done. Then there are focus group discussion. There are different research ways. In focus group, you can get a relevant group of 6 to 12 people. You sit, make them sit in a place, and you become the moderator, and you let them talk, and you take ideas from them. They may agree or disagree. You keep on writing down, or you take a help from a friend and you can write down. This is how you get data from people. It's sort of a group interview. And then personal interviews are one-on-one, very in-depth. You get rich information in personal interviews, and that is how you get ideas. Observation, it can be active observation, it can be passive observation, but observation, I think, is amazing because you get so many ideas by just observing things. Field trials, for example, in my foundation, we go on the roads, we move here and there, we look at these kids, then we go and we talk to them. So we go in the field and then we have these personal interviews with them. And then, we go to their, and we are doing the observation part as well. And then we go to their homes. And then again, we do certain personal interviews with their parents. So this is how we carry forward and get more data and get to know about their issues. And that's how we keep on improving our foundation by giving more services. So it's an ongoing process. We cannot say this is not a one-time process. It should be done continuously. Next slide, please. Yes. So basically, how to conduct a market analysis is obviously you have to determine the purpose. You have to, first of all of you know which is that area in which you are interested. It can be any business idea, anything, whatever you guys want to start, even if it's a slight, not very clear, you at least have an idea, the kind of industry you are interested in. So first of all, understand what do you want to do. Even if it's little gray, no problem. At least you have an idea. And then you look at your surroundings. Just do a little bit of stakeholder analysis. Just do a little bit of market analysis in your mind, and think about whoever else is doing about something about these things that you're thinking about. Who can be your competitors? Who are the people who are doing similar kind of work in the market? And then think about your customers. That is very important. So it's sort of doing your market analysis in the brain, and obviously after that you have to put it on a piece of paper and do it more formally. So your customers, and then you compare your competition. Okay, you have this idea, these are your customers. Your competitor has a similar idea, and the customers are theirs as well. Now, what is there that you can offer these customers which that competitor is not offering? That is where your key, I would say, unique selling proposition will come. Because if you are offering whatever the other person is offering, then why will people come to you? They will always have a first mover advantage. So always keep in mind how to make yourself different. That is the key. You gather data about this, and that gathering data is about what they are offering, what you will offer, and that gap will give you an idea. And put your analysis into action. My motto for life is you have to then actually do it. We plan and we do analysis and we do things, but we don't do it actually. So you have to just get done with your analysis and start doing things. The problem with most of us is we do so much time, we put so much effort in analysis and planning, but we don't do it. You won't believe it, but in my case, my foundation I started in 2 weeks. I did all my analysis in 2 weeks. I just started it. So there are so many things which you will get to know and learn once you actually start doing things. Yes, next slide. Yeah, so there is this yeah. So there is this activity. It's in the slide. You don't have to do it now. I'll just give you a brief idea about how it is, and if you're interested, you can use this. Is a very good tool, in fact. So basically, you just have to list down your stakeholders, whoever you think have an impact on you, or whoever you think can impact you. You just write them down. For example, your proposed customers, your competitors, your suppliers, your employees, your manager, whoever, and you write them down. And but you categorize them. The second step is you categorize them. You categorize them on two things. That is how powerful they are to you or to your organization, and what is their level of interest. These are the two categories on the basis of which you can just categorize them. You can do it on any other thing as well, and then you map them. So the next slide will show, there is a slide which will show, you just can put dots over here and there, and you map them on a certain quadrant. Isa, you have a question? Okay, okay. So can I go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So when you plot these stakeholders on these quadrants, there are low interest, low power. Then there is high interest and high power, and then there is low interest with high power. All this, and then you come up with an exact strategy to how to deal with that stakeholder. So basically, this will help you analyze which stakeholder to invest how much time and effort on which stakeholder, and just give you an idea about how you can analyze your stakeholder. I actually did it for my own foundation, and it gives you an idea where to invest most of your time. We generally keep on investing our time everywhere. So it's very important that you do your stakeholder analysis and market analysis, and then accordingly divide your time, because we are all short on time all the time. Next slide, please. So this is just an example of the same stakeholder analysis grid, and there was a case study, and they did this analysis, and that is how they came up with all the. So it will give you an idea. For example, in this case, the high power but low interest were the competitors, because this was a software agency. The case study was about a software company, and Google Play Store and App Store were their competitors. So they were obviously high in power because they were impacting the market, but they were low in influence. So low in interest, sorry. So basically, and just an example, if you are interested in it or you're not clear about it, we can discuss it in the question and answer session. So we can move towards question and answer session. If there are any questions.
Mavish, thank you so very much for sharing it in detail. I think it matters a lot when it comes to, we always use this 5 P's concept, which means proper practice, prevent, poor performance. And I think the summary from Mavi's session and from my personal experience is that the more well prepared you are, the more proactive approach you have, or you should have, the better you will execute, and the more successful you will be in your launching your startup or in running and sustaining your startup. So this is why you really need, this seems more theoretical, academic, but once you sit on it, once you start doing it, then it will make more sense to you. Because everything that we share today, I think this is based on our, maybe more than 10 years of experience. We just sum it up in 2 hours. So now you can understand the sensitivity of the learning that we have today. The more you learn, you absorb, you practice, the better you will be able to develop your idea, launch it, implement it, and then of course sustain it. So we are open for the question and answer. We still have Maruf. Thank you so very much again for being with us. Let's have your question answered. so that we can address your questions as well. Please don't hesitate to ask anything you would like to ask. So the first question is from James, which says, "How challengeful is getting funds to run a non-for-profit?" Mavish, to you.
This is generally a question which I'm asked so many
The very
times,
first
and
question.
yeah, it's all about money. It's all about funds. Yeah, it is so true. Um, Trust me. In my case, personally, it has always been so amazing that I truly believe in divine help in the kind of work when it's for non for profit or welfare, because it's our faith, and it's very strong part of my life, at least, that if you're doing something for the welfare of people and not for your own benefit, there is a divine help. So obviously not in business organization that in that case you have to keep in mind where the funds should be coming in. But in for non-for-profit organization, I feel, on my behalf, the more transparent you are, and you have to make your transactions, your activities very visible. Initially when I started, I avoided using Facebook, and I felt that if I use Facebook or Instagram, it will be like, showing it off to people that I'm doing this and all that. But then again, I realized I have to use marketing. I have to do marketing. Otherwise, how are people going to know about me? And then one on one, my foundation, it's been 7 years, is not funded by any organization. It is totally run by charity and donation money. I proudly say that. And the only reason it is still surviving is that there is clear cut communication and transparency. If I get money for food, I make sure that money is spent on food, and then I take pictures and I send it to the donor. So it's how transparent you are. I think, and then you come up with your repo, you make your repo, then people start believing you and trusting you.
And one context to it, James, is that you really need to, we talked about the business model. You really need to have different stakeholder money coming from different people. You might have non-for-profit organization funding you, giving you the funds or the donation. Then you might launch a donation campaign. So you are looking on that perspective as well. You are launching your own donation campaign as well, right? So it could be challenging for non-for-profit, and there are projects and programs coming. A lot of, international, maybe some of your local organization, maybe government is providing fund to the organization which are non-for-profit. For example, in Pakistan, we have a lot of organization where the government or the international organization give fund to them, and it is specifically for non-for-profit. For-profit organization cannot apply for this. So I think you need to do research, find out the different, organization where you can pitch, the people who can give you donation, where you can raise fund for your cause. So this way, money will be coming through different channels, and you will be able to, sustain our progress better. Maruf, you want to comment? Yes, Maruf, you wanted to make a comment. You are mute.
Uh, Yeah, I just wanted to say over here that the question that was raised by James was that since I've been running a welfare organization as well, so obviously the thing that is about the revenue generation, the funds. So when we started our setup and we had this problem because initially we were not quite known in the society. So what we started to do is that we started introducing programs where youngsters were earning for the welfare, and we were donating that in the welfare. For example, these months that we are having right now are the months when different schools, universities, and colleges encourage their students to have different stalls, business festivals, and all that. So we would take up the students from different universities, and we would tell them that we'll give you free of cost training. You will earn, and you will earn in these stalls. And we had a mechanical student who had made us some video games, like type of physical games, and we would take up that stall, and the people would earn, And then we would give them an option that if you want to keep the amount for your hardware, you can keep 20% out of that and you would donate the 80% to the foundation. And that was how we were generating money. So the only challengeable thing in a non-profit or organization is the amount of criticism that comes along with it. That people just ask you different questions that why are you doing this? Why are you giving your time, especially for the females? This is what I believe Miss Mavish would connect with, that there's a kind of things that the questions are being raised that why are you doing this, and are you mad, or you're utilizing your energy into something that is into the welfare, and why not do something else, why don't you leave the country and all of that stuff. So that's the only challenging part. The rest is that yes, there is a divine support, and then again the plans you come up with. So for the welfare, even if nobody is supporting you, if you are strong will, so you would come up with different plans. So we have different plans, we work on the different plans, and we try to come up with those activities. And then the donors are there, the people who know us. The more transparent you are, the more nicer you are towards the people, the more convincing you are towards the people, the more people are going to trust and donate. That goes with all of the business. That was what I was trying to tell you guys in the customer relationship segment. The more nicer you are, which Miss Mavish mentioned, the more transparent she was, the more she was connected with her donors, the more people feel secured, and she was able to do it. Thank you.
And this is, and just add to it, what really important is, that's my personal observation for the past 10 years. When it comes to launching something, most of the time, startups wants to do things on a massive level, and it doesn't work that way. You start small, step by step, then you go to the bigger room. For example, for the first 4 years of my company, we didn't have our own office. We were sitting in a lawn, running meetings and having different volunteers. After 4 years, we were there in the market, built reputation, money started flowing in, and then we launched our own market. So start slow, be consistent. Things come gradually. That slow growth is a real growth, right? Yeah, Merit.
Yeah, Aziz, I would just like to briefly tell all of the audience and the students over here that it's been 7 years in this August for my foundation. And exactly like you said, we started with a very small room, although we planned to start it in a park. But then we got a room from someone from the very first day. And it was today, luckily, it's such a strange thing that you guys were talking about location, and it was only today that we finalized the rent agreement for our first building after 7 years, where we're going to shift our school because I need proper classrooms for the kids. So after 7 years, starting from scratch, literally scratch, it's very important that you start with something small and then gradually grow. You should not wait till 7 years. You should go ahead more quickly.
Yeah, of
But
course.
yeah.
Absolutely. You need to start slow, step by step, you will be growing. But what it requires is patience and consistency and hard work as well. You need to stay consistent. Otherwise, the journey would stop. Reg, you have a question, Reginald.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's a wonderful session. My question is regarding stakeholder analysis. So, as I have asked in the previous session, like we are working on an app that connects blood donor and patients. So, my main three stakeholders are donors, blood donation organizations, and another is obviously patients who needs blood. So, on the patient side, currently we are like targeting anyone who needs blood in the hospital. So should we actually concise that targeting a bit more towards specific type of patients, or if there are any suggestions, please?
I'm sorry, I was not very clear about the question, but what I understood from the question is that you are coming up with an app which you are targeting. So your major your shareholders are your donors, and then there are different types of patients. And then in those different types of patients, whom you're supposed to target more. Is that your question?
Right. Like generally, we are targeting anyone who needs blood, but I guess should we target a bit more specific fields or
Okay.
more?
It depends. Again, you should do your market research and little bit of market analysis, because it depends on the percentage or the statistics. I would suggest, if you have some sort of data in which you can assess the percentage of different types of patients. And the one who are more, I would say go for that specific target market. If you don't have any data, that is also a possibility, then I would say make it general. Because if you specifically target one type of patients or one type of disease, that may limit your target market maybe, and the number are less. So I would then suggest, if you don't have any data, go for them generally, because very narrow market can also at times be challenging. Although there is a concept called niche marketing, and that is for a very specific target market, it has its own pros and cons. But you have to keep in mind all these things are again based on your market analysis, the statistics available, if there is any sort of census which the government has done regarding those specific types of patients. So then you should be able to define your target market. I suppose that would be a better way to go ahead with.
And just add to it, I think this is very important for you to, to define your milestone, because you can't go to every stakeholder at a time, because you are limited in resources, whether it is human resource, it is financial, or it is time. So for you, it is very much important, as Mary said, know who are your target people, right? And who is the core target people. So in first step, let's suppose reach to one or two hospitals or to the patient where you feel like you can onboard them. So once you get on board them, things started, then start spreading to two more, then next step, three, four more hospitals, right? But your key stakeholder here is, of course, your team members as well, because alone you can't do anything. As Mahesh said, there are internal stakeholders. If you don't have strong team, technical support team, people who can go and pitch well, people who can develop good, presentation, alone you can't, you will have a limited things to do. So this is why both look into your teams as well, so that you are well prepared internally to pitch in the best way, and at the same time define milestone. First target few people, then in the next step, once you achieve that, move to the next step, and then move to the next. So this way, slowly gradually you will be jumping towards your goals. I hope we answered your question. If not, you can have clarifying question.
Yeah, it's clear. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Of course. Thank you. Yes, any other question? I already have shared a link with you where all the material is in the folder. So you can go there, you can download the material, and you can save it with you. It's from the last session and as well, and from the today's session as well. So we have 5 more minutes. In case you have question, you can let me know. Otherwise, we can wind it up. And the next Wednesday, again, we will have a very important session. I'll tell you later, but we have 5 minutes before I wind it up if you have any question. All right, seems like no question. If it is totally fine, if you don't have any question right now, I would really like you to go back, reflect on what you heard from Maruf, what you heard from Mavesh, what you heard from me, the material you have studied it, and do some reflection. Come up with question for the next session. So in the next session, we will discuss about sales, we will discuss about branding, we will discuss about marketing, which is key to the business, business development. And we will also talk about how you can develop the best pitch for your stakeholder. When you pitch, you can inspire your stakeholder. So let's catch up each other in the next webinar, which is next Wednesday on the same time. As of now, I would really like to thank Maruf and Mavish once again for joining us today. And I would really like thank you everyone for joining us today. If you have any question, put it, put it there in your diary. We'll give you some time before starting the next session. You can join a little bit early as well. I'll be there. The team will be there so we can address your question as well. Until then, take care of yourself, and I will see you next Wednesday. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.